What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle.
And it's your co-host, Rick Masters. You already know who it is. Hey, man, we got the black, the red, the white, and the white takes to pull up basketball podcast shirts for $25 a pop. Hit me a B Jizzle on our DMs, man. Throw the assists back to you.
Yes, sir. We have my boys here. Our shirts up $20 a pop, $25 a pop. Black, red, and white. You know what I'm saying? We also got our social media, YouTube, Spotify, as well as iHeartRadio, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Check that out today, but let's get it going. We got three good topics for y'all today. You know, we got Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, and the third topic we have is Russell Westbrook, my bad. So Steph Curry just passed the three-point record, you know, of Ray Allen with 2,974 threes for his career, Rick. So I know you saw that game. It was in the Mecca, New York, at the Garden. So the question begs, what do you feel about Steph Curry being the most influential player in the last 20 years? Do you think that's a fair point to say that about the light-skinned assassin, or do you think it's too premature? What you think?
I'm gonna say it's only premature based on the facts, and here are the facts. Now we can say that in the last 8 years he's been the most influential, and I say that because stating my sources, basketballreference.com will show you that he really ain't started snapping. He's always been a good player, so don't get me wrong, everybody. But he really ain't started snapping until that 14-15 season, 2014, 2015. And if you want to go back 20 years, remember. Jordan didn't leave the game until 2003. Now, mind you, he was with the Wizards and he wasn't the, Bulls Jordan, but Jordan was still here. So if you go back 20 years, he wasn't even in the game yet. He didn't come into the game until 2009. So to be more fair to everybody that's included in this conversation, Curry really has only been influential for the last 8 years, in my opinion, even though he's been in for going on 13 seasons. I think he's playing his 13th season. But I say this to state the facts. Okay, 15, he was averaging 23.8, 2016, 30 points, 17, 25 points, and 2018, 26, 19, 27, 2020, 20 points, 2021, 32, and of course this year he's averaging 27. But let's look at some key factors here. When you go back between 15, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, between 15 and 19, and of course in 2019, the Raptors won the championship. When you look at 15 and 18, those are pretty much his prime years when they're going to the finals every year against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think that's what really made him pop. Now, I do pose the question, do we think that he's the most influential in the last 8 years? Maybe, because this dude has been single-handedly massacring teams on, of course, a built-up Warriors team that was, built up around his system, the Curry system. But at the end of the day, man, because Curry, we all know, is the system for the Warriors. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that Curry's only been in the league really legit for 12 years, going on his 13th season. So to say the last 20 years, I can't really rock with that just by the stats and the facts, but I will give him his just due for the last 8 years. He's been the most influential. What do you think, B Jizzle?
So I think we need to define the word influential. I looked it up in the Webster's Dictionary. So influential means having a great influence on someone or something. So basically it ties into importance. So a person that has an impact in your life. So when it comes to basketball, that needs to be said. So when we talk about influence, we talk about on the court, we talk about off the court, we're talking globally, we're talking about all three of those facets. So when people say the most influential player is Steph Curry, I mean, well, what do you mean? You got to be more specific. Are we talking about just him as a basketball player? We're talking about him as a mentor, him as a person outside the court. We have to know what we're talking about. So with that being said, I don't even put Jordan in the conversation. So when I say the last 20 years, Jordan, like you said, was on his way out. So I kind of keep him out. He's on his, in the category of his own. So I won't even put him in there. The other three players I put in is Kobe, Allen Iverson, LeBron James. Those have been the, last 20 years, those have been the four top players, the faces of the league. So in my opinion, I don't think Steph Curry is the most influential player. I think he's probably top two. If I go down the list, Allen Iverson, you remember Allen Iverson, bro, like he had guys dressing in tattoos. You had guys, wearing baggy jeans, the cornrows. I remember one time this white kid, this white boy is like, I think 12 years old in the fan. He had cornrows in his hair, influential Allen Iverson. Like he was a big deal. He was a big deal for the hip hop culture, for the street culture, for the people. That's who AI was. So he was real influential, but I can't put him as the most influential because he really spoke to really only one crowd. He wasn't big as far as, all facets. You couldn't relate to everybody, just one facet. LeBron, he's probably he's the face of the league, but I think the only issue with LeBron is that you can't relate how he really plays. I mean, he's just God given, 6'9", 250. Steph Curry's a dude that you can actually relate how he plays because he's a smaller person. He's a guy that, a lot of people can relate to. LeBron, you can't relate to him. He's just God given talent. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this about him off the court. He has made player movement a big deal. Like, he's the face of that. If you want to say LeBron James is the person that is the guy that gets people to team up and, make the super teams, he's the face of that. He's made it popular for guys to take advantage of their own careers. And that's the biggest thing. He's also responsible for positionless basketball. Before you used to have a point guard, a shooting guard, small forward. Now it's like, okay, you can be a point guard in a power forward's body. You can be 6'10" playing point. That's because of LeBron James. But I'm going to let you take the mic a little bit, bro. Who do you think is the most influential player within the last 20 years since it's not Steph Curry? And why do you think so?
I mean, man, I'm about to start some mess. I'm about to start some noise, but I'm gonna go two different ways with this. Now, you already named one person, LeBron James. Now, look, y'all, I'm not a LeBron James fan. I'm not a LeBron James head, but I'm gonna tell you something. I got to get that man his props. This man is in his 19th season, so technically speaking, if we want to talk about what BJ just said, far as his definition of influence on and off the court. Remember, guys, LeBron, when he came in 03 or 04, around that time when basically Jordan was heading out the league, this man was already talked about before he even touched the court in high school. So he was already influencing people before he even touched the NBA court. And then when he gets in the league, he literally took it by storm. He was the chosen one, the phenom, the king. And, going from all of those titles, he showed up in some of the years in his seasons, in my opinion, of being just that. But if we're going off of BJ's definition, modern time, I'm going to have to give it to LeBron just because of what he does on and off the court, the school he developed, the people that he helped, the money that he gives, being, like I said, being a great father, being a great husband, being the fortified player that he is through all these seasons. I mean, this season is kind of for me, but I'm talking about collectively as a body of work. This dude is trying to go for that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, points. I mean, dude is just, I can keep going and going when it comes to his stats. But the other direction I can go, I would pick LeBron if that was, if we're talking about just modern day who's playing, I would pick LeBron. But this is going to sound crazy to some people too, and I know I might, start a fight. But Jordan, even though he left in 03, what does LeBron, what did even Allen Iverson say at his Hall of Fame speech? What does Kobe say about Jordan? They all say that they want to be like Mike. I mean, we all know that Kobe was obviously the trainee of Jordan. Jordan was his mentor. We know that Jordan was real close to Kobe. We saw that at Kobe's funeral, God rest his soul, and shout out to the family. Also, we know that LeBron has countless times been on a social media platform, national airways, telling how he really looks up to Jordan, how he uses some of Jordan's mentality to come at the game. And then if you look at Allen Iverson in the Hall of Fame speech, he was like, man, I want to shoot like Bird. I want to run as fast as Isaiah Thomas. I want to be as accurate as Magic Johnson. But everybody know I want to be like Mike. So when we talk about influential, I mean, to me, if you pick, LeBron, I really wouldn't argue with you. If you pick Jordan, I really wouldn't argue with you based off of what those players that BJ just named in his three lists, say that how they feel about him, as far as influencing them. But, if I'm just going to pick one in the last 20 years, I'm going to ride with LeBron just because that's who we see playing. It's just kind of to be fair and kind of to be up to date. We see him playing still, and I think he's the most influential in his modern time. But if you do say Jordan based off of what players say, because everybody want to be like Mike, then I can roll with that answer too. But what you think about what I'm saying, B Jizzle?
I mean, like I said, LeBron, he's been the face of the league, bro. So I can't really argue with that because if you look at he's been, the most consistent player within the last 10 to 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been LeBron in every area. He's been in really three eras. He's been the era when he was with Cleveland, and then with Miami. Now he's with the Lakers. He's still, I would say, a top 10 player right now, not top 5. But he's still in the mix at age, 36 going on 37. So that's incredible. Jordan, like I said, I don't even put him in the conversation, bro. He's in the category of his own. So when I say 20 years, he was on his way out the door. So I got to look at the other three. The player that I pick as the most influential player is Kobe. Because here's why. Mindset, you remember when we used to be in middle school, what did we used to say when we shot the basketball inside the trash can? Who did
Kobe.
we said Kobe. Who's responsible for the hero ball taking the last shot? Who was the person that we said we want to take the last shot? Who did we get that from in our
Kobe
era?
the last 20 years.
The last 20 years, it was all Kobe. You know what I'm saying?
So,
He's the closest thing to Jordan. So if Jordan's the most influential and you got the heir apparent, you got to go next in line. It's Kobe. Even if you talk about young kids now, they still somewhat know who Kobe is, and they really didn't even see his best years. So that's still powerful. We got to also look at how old are you? Are you in the 18 to 22 range where you grew up with more Steph Curry? Are you the 22 to 26 range where you grew up with more LeBron? Are you 26 to 32 when you grew up with more with Kobe? Like, it matters what age you are too. And really all three of those eras know who Kobe is. You know what I'm saying? Also, we got to look at the biggest influence is globally. I remember one time LeBron said when he saw Kobe in China, he said LeBron said, I thought I was famous till I came to China with Kobe. That's where I think the difference is. The fact that he could speak 4 to 5 languages. The fact that he can relate to all facets, not just people from the hood, not just people in the suburban, but he can relate to all different countries. Like LeBron, Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, as where as they are, they can't relate to Italian, they can't relate to Chinese, they can't relate to the Spanish culture. Like he can speak all three of those languages. And that's a big deal when you talk about influence, because you got people when he passed, like people in the Philippines, people in China, people in Italy, people in Mexico, people wherever country you in, you knew who Kobe Bryant was. Not to say that they don't know who Allen Iverson is, who LeBron is, who Steph Curry is, but that global influence is another level of how impactful you are. So I think that's the only thing, because these are mostly, Americanized players here in America. Like they only know one culture, but Kobe had all those other cultures going for him. So that's why I got to go with Kobe.
You know, when you broke it down, especially when you use the fact in the statement that LeBron did say when he went to China that he thought he was famous. I do remember that. I think I'm being very technical, just kind of going off your definition of influential in the last 20 years. Now, Kobe, I mean, you made some great points. I think what I was looking at was you said on and off the court. So when it goes to both of those categories, when I kind of sum it all up and look at it at an overall view, I mean, I won't even be mad at people if they did pick Kobe. And I think I just picked LeBron simply because of how much he's talked about off the court, and also how much he's talked about on the court. And again, him being the face. And plus, he was playing with Kobe when Kobe was still playing. Now, granted, if you asking me, Rick, who would you pick, LeBron or Kobe? Duh, I'm gonna pick Kobe all day. But I just feel based off of the on and off the court factor, I think LeBron is a little bit more influential because again, you have your Kobe heads like me and BJ, but then you also have people who just disregard Kobe regardless of their beliefs or their opinions, that don't really care about what he did off the court. And some people actually hate him for the things he did off the court. So, if I have to just be a fair judger based off of my view, doesn't make it right or wrong, just what I think I do have to give it to LeBron. But I will say BJ did make some hard-hitting facts on the fact that, when they went to China, when it comes to globally, this dude could speak 4 to 5 different languages. This guy had Asian kids, Middle Eastern kids, European kids all saying Kobe, just like in America. So, I ain't gonna knock that either. So, you know what, guys, if y'all pick Kobe, if y'all pick LeBron, or even if y'all pick Jordan because he influenced both of these players, I won't say nothing. But what you think, B Jizzle?
Man, I think the big thing we can make it seem is Jordan is in its own category. That's what we can both agree on, I think.